Oh, she's dancing, son. She's dancing. That was like 3/4 throttle. Full trigger. At the 120 Atlas van on the block. Today we're actually going to be making a flex cable. Okay, I've got a 0.98 flex cable here, a little run of flex cable that doesn't have a shaft on it. So we're actually going to make a connection to an Octura 8th stub shaft with a 0.98 bore. Okay, I'm going to show you guys how to prep it up and bond join the two. Okay, now this is it's a good connection method. In tomorrow's video, we're actually going to be pulling the stuffing tube out this boat and installing the cable. But I figured I'd make 2 little videos, show you guys how to do it, and then we'll do the installation. So stick around. Big B, with Ironclad RC. Like I said, we're going to be joining this 0.98 flex cable to an Octura stub shaft. This is not a big flex cable by no means. It's not heavy duty. It's 2.4 millimeters outside diameter. This 0.98 flex cable would work with boats in the 12 to 18 inch range. 19, 20 inch boats, they would have to be extremely lightweight with a low power. Okay, I usually run these flex cables on 2, 3S. I wouldn't really trust it with a 4S application, but I suppose you could run it on 4S if you have an ironclad driveline configuration. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to be using, like I said, this Octura 8th diameter 540 thread 0.98 bored stub shaft for our 120 Atlas Vans application. Now, there's a few different methods you could use to join these two guys right here. Now, what I like to do when I order these smaller cables, like a 0.130 cable, a 0.98 cable, even 0.150 cables from Offshore Electrics, I'll get the ones that aren't attached, or I'll buy one that's attached, you know, a full cable, and I'll cut it to size, and then you'll have a length of a flex cable left over like I do. And I usually just pick up another stub shaft, and I'll basically make 2 flex cable, maybe even 3 flex cable assemblies out of this the same flex cable setup. You feel me? So what I like to use to make the connection, okay, you got to join the two, and it needs to be ironclad. All right. I've never used the JB stick weld, but I mean, I wouldn't even mess with that. I've actually used this in the past, and it works extremely well. Okay, JB steel weld. I wouldn't go with a cheaper alternative like Harbor Freight stick welds or steel welds. I wouldn't go with a cheaper alternative. This JB weld works really good. It's only like $4 or $5, and it works. Okay, you could use green Loctite for the connection, but green Loctite, it's kind of hard to come by, and it's like expensive. It's double the cost of the JB weld, you know. And you really would only use the green Loctite on very few occasions, but when you need it, you need it. And I really need to pick up a bottle. I've been meaning to pick a bottle up, but this works. Okay, I've actually used this method on my Blackjack 24. I've run this cable I made a couple years ago. I've run this cable, actually I ran it until the collet, you know, wore out the cable. That's how long this cable's lasted. In my Blackjack 24, I've run it on 3S, 4S, and 6S. Okay, if the stub shaft and cables prepped properly, you could run 6S on it in a lightweight boat, you know, with moderately sized propellers. Okay, it works. I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you. So what I like to do to prep it up, and I've said this in the past, when you're doing stuff like this, preparation is everything. It's like 99.99999% prep. Okay, what I like to do is I'll take either like a little file, like a little hobby file, or some sandpaper, and I'll rough up my cable. Okay, just kind of rough it up so you have a nice rough surface for the actual JB weld to bond to. Okay, I actually like to kind of do some long scratches, you know, scratch it long ways, because you figure the cable is going to be spinning. Okay, it's going to be spinning, and if you make some like long scribes down the cable, it may actually grab onto the JB weld a little bit better. I'll take a little teeny tiny hobby file, okay, one with like a nice sharp tip, maybe even with a burr on it, and I'll actually put it in my tube, and I'll put some pressure on it and pull out, you know, make that long scribe mark in there. Okay, I wouldn't really like go around it, you know, just kind of scribe it long way so it has something to grab and lock onto that JB weld, you know, maybe 4 of them in there, boom, maybe even just kind of lightly go in there and do that number there. Like I said, you don't want to take a whole lot of material off because you want a nice tight fit when you put your flex cable in the stub shaft. We're going to spray some alcohol on this guy and this guy. Okay, everything's prepped up. Let's actually wipe out the inside of this stub shaft. Hopefully I don't have it zoomed in too much here. See how much dirt was in there? See all that dirt that came out of there? Okay, so that's telling me that we need to spray some more in there. Okay, and let's do it again. We want to put the rag in there and pull out no dirt, you know. So that looks good. All right, that looks good. You see that? There's no dirt in there. All right, so we got that prepped up. I'm gonna give it a second to completely dry to get that alcohol out of it. We've got our flex cable prepped up, so we're gonna make the connection. Let's go ahead and get some JB weld mixed up. It's 1-to-1. Okay. All right, what's gonna happen when you push it in there initially? It's gonna want to push itself back out. So the most important part is to make sure the cable is seated all the way in the stub shaft. You know what I'm saying? So I'm actually going to take my capillary tube with a little wire on it, or any wire. Make sure all that JB weld is pushed down into your stub shaft. Okay, make sure it's in there everywhere. It don't take much either, so you don't need to mix up a whole lot. Okay, that looks pretty good. On our clean flex cable. All right. See, I got a lot of adhesive on my cable. Okay, I'm gonna push it in there. All right. See how it's wanting to push itself back out? You see that? There's air in there, so just want to spin the cable into your shaft. All right. There's air in there, or there's too much adhesive up here on your shaft, and it's wanting to push the cable out. Okay, so you see what it's doing there? All right, so you're just going to kind of spin it until you heard that? Did you hear that? Okay, so it's actually, see how it's staying on the cable? It's not pushing itself off. Just clean up the access. Okay, just kind of give it a spin, make sure there's no air bubbles in there. All right, that's good. That's it right there. You give it 24 hours to cure, you know, and she's done. She's good to go. That thing ain't coming apart. Trust me, it's not going to come apart. Once you have the cable in the shaft, take your piece of painter's tape, stick it on there. Make sure your cable's in the shaft all the way. All right, that piece of painter's tape should hold it together. I wouldn't really close it all the way up. Maybe just kind of do that number there, so you can check on it. Once you have the cable in the shaft, don't sit there and like spin it, you know. Let it sit just like it is. Don't spin it in the shaft. All right, so you get a good connection. In the next video with the 120, okay, we're going to install the flex cable, stuff and tube, the whole 9. All right, I'll show you guys how ironclad the connection is. You know, we'll put a pair of pliers on it and kind of twist it, try to break it. I know it's not going to break. All right, there's more than one way to skin a freaking cat. You know, there's not just one set way to do something. Okay, yeah, retaining compound, that works. You know, and silver solder, that works great too. But everybody don't have access to that stuff. Everybody don't have the skills to use silver solder. JB weld, steel weld works. I'm telling you, as long as you properly prep the cable, You know, scribe it, put a little bit of thought into it, leave the ends kind of frayed up so that steel wheel has something to grab onto. Scribe the stub shaft, properly clean it with some 91% alcohol, denatured alcohol, and you got you a connection that's going to outlast the damn cable. I'll probably spin this cable before that connection breaks. Probably. You know what I'm saying? So I hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for hanging in there. If you're still here, you're freaking awesome. Alright, kudos to you. We'll see you guys next time, okay? Little Bill, say bye. Later on, you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next time.